Good evening. Wasn't that amazing? Wow. Well, I'm Jayne Downey, and I'm an associate professor in the Department of Education, and I'm excited to be here with you tonight to share with you some innovative partnerships that are changing the way we prepare new teachers for Montana's communities. I have the pleasure of being able to serve as the director for the Center for Research on Rural Education, and our goal in the center is to collaborate with Montana's schools and communities, as well as other universities and colleges and even state-level agencies, to find ways to provide programs and study those programs in ways that will really support rural schools, rural teachers, and rural leaders. I'm personally really committed to this work because I'm a rural kid. This is where I grew up. Some people would say, wow, that's in the middle of nowhere. But I tell you, for me, that's the middle of somewhere. Very important. And I know how important well-prepared rural teachers are and what a difference they can make in someone's life. And so I also know how important well-prepared rural teachers are for Montana. Here's our context. Many of you know that we have just over 1 million people that live here. We're the 4th largest state in the nation, and actually what that translates into is about 7 people per square mile. 48th in the country for population density. And when we think about that, what does that mean for our state? Well, it means that 96% of our school districts in Montana are classified as rural. That's number 1 in the nation. There's no other state that has more rural school districts than we do. And I thought you might be interested to know as well that out of our 819 schools in Montana, only 6%, 51 of those schools serve more than 500 kids. More than half of those schools have fewer than 100 students, and 92 of our schools have 1 teacher. Into that context is a deep concern that we have about teacher shortage. In 2016, it was estimated that we had a national teacher shortage of over 60,000 teachers. And at that same time, we saw significant drops in enrollment in teacher preparation programs all over the country. In fact, in California, it was a 53% decline in enrollment in teacher prep programs. More recently, this was in December, from the Wall Street Journal, this was their headline: teachers quitting at the highest rate on record. Well, what about Montana? And what about our rural schools? We know that at the heart of every community is a rural school. It's a center for life, center for learning in that particular space. In fact, one expert suggested that the schoolhouse is a symbol, a physical symbol of the community's belief in its future. Well, in our current context, 83% of the teacher vacancies in Montana are in rural schools. And trying to fill those vacancies, according to one of our superintendents, Renee Rasmussen, she said to me, Jayne, our situation has gone from terrible to crisis in 4 years. Well, us rural people, we know something about crisis. My brother shared this with me. He said it was not a good day. My dad said, I told him so. Well, in crisis moments like this, you can stand around and wring your hands and wonder, oh my, how did we get into this situation? And oh, what are we going to do? And you can deconstruct the problem. Or, as rural people tend to do, you can get to work to address the problem. And so, Here at Montana State, we have really leaned hard into this effort to focus on preparing well-prepared rural teachers. Universities across the country have wavered in this commitment, but not at MSU. Here we believe that every rural community deserves well-prepared teachers. And so, as we think about what does that mean, I would like to share with you kind of the model of a set of characteristics that we believe are really important. That a teacher is ready for the classroom, ready for the school, ready for that rural community, and taken together, personally and professionally, ready to be effective in that space. Now, to do that, it takes partnerships. You cannot do something like this alone. And I'd like to share with you tonight just a few examples of very innovative partnerships that we are working on at MSU that are making a difference. Right now, we are looking at over 20 different rural schools and communities that are working with us right now on these very kinds of initiatives. Allison mentioned earlier the Rural Education Colloquium, which was started by Dr. Tina Versland. This was a partnership with Montana's superintendents, a real commitment on their part to come to campus and meet with our students and share with them the advantages of being a rural teacher and living and being part of a rural community. With their input, with their support, we have been developing a graduated set of courses and field experience for our undergraduate students that can really give them the knowledge, the skills, and the dispositions they need to be effective when they head out to the classroom. The first step in that is looking at what we call the dual enrollment opportunity. It started with 2 districts, now it's an important partnership, and it's now expanded to over 13 districts where high school students can take one of our MSU classes for dual credit and really have a sound and strong introduction to the teaching profession. And if that could be a good fit for them and their skills and what they want to do with their lives. The second step is the rural field experience. And this is really about getting students ready for the community. A community like Broadus, Montana has opened up their arms and welcomed us in. And I take students out, and we actually leave on Sunday with the next group, and spend a week being embedded in that community and at the school, learning what it means to live and to thrive in that kind of a space. The third step is rural practicum. And it's such an important piece of partnership with our schools. With John Mielek and Joe Hicks at MSU really making a concerted effort to design and build an experience for our students where they spend a week in their practicum learning what it means to become ready for the classroom. Building those skills to really be able to engage students in that important learning process. The final step is rural student teaching. This is an important piece of the puzzle. It's a semester-long project where they are rural teachers, but it is not possible to do this without help from partnerships with donors who have provided scholarships from some of our alums, but also from the Montana Rural Ed Association to alleviate, offset some of the costs of what it takes to leave Bozeman and go for 4 months and live in a rural and teach in a rural community. The final pieces I wanted to share with you are partnerships right on campus that have allowed us to create a new degree program for people in place where they can get their license and their master's degree to be a well-prepared teacher for rural Montana. Finally, we are part of a really neat partnership of rural researchers across the globe, working together to design or to identify the research that will help us understand what really makes a difference for communities here in the U.S., but also around the globe. This is our goal through the research and through these programs, that we would be able to keep the heart of these rural communities, the school, keep that heart beating for years to come. Thank you.
Jayne, what about your experience growing up in that little town led you to doing what you're doing?
What about my experience led me to do what I'm doing? A couple of key things. One is that some of the teachers that came to my school had no idea what I already knew. Growing up on the farm, I knew a lot of biology, from cleaning chickens, from butchering cattle, from doing chores every morning. I had a really good handle on a lot of science, different varieties, that my teachers didn't seem to understand how much they could have really connected to me. The other is I had some teachers that made a huge difference in my life. I'm here today because of two teachers in my high school who said, "You can do this," when I was like, "I'm not sure." And I think that really compels me to really prepare our students at MSU to be those kind of difference makers in the world.